Today we're going to talk about one of Japan's most disturbing and frankly most perplexing cold cases. It's an unresolved crime that mixes this unimaginable brutality with a tiny, tiny sliver of hope. This is the story of the Nagoya Maternity murder. Okay, so let's set the scene. We're in Nagoya City. The date is March 18th, 1988. A 31-year-old man is on his way home from a late night out with his company. He's expecting to walk in the door and find his pregnant wife waiting for him. But what he actually found, well, it was the beginning of an absolute nightmare.
He walked into a scene of just pure horror. This quote here from the initial reports, it really captures that chilling discovery. His wife wasn't just hurt, she was the victim of a violent and very calculated attack.
So who was at the center of this? We're talking about 27-year-old Mitsuko Moriya and her husband. They were this young couple, right on the brink of starting their family. They were so excited, getting everything ready to welcome their first baby boy into the world. And this is the absolute core of the tragedy here. All of that anticipation, all of that joy, the preparations for a new life, it was all just shattered in a single night. Ripped away by an act of savage violence that to this day makes no sense at all. So here's where this case takes a turn from just being tragic to being deeply, deeply strange. It's not just the murder itself, it's the crime scene. The evidence the police found was so bizarre it has baffled investigators for decades. It really points to something way beyond a simple attack. Okay, so let's get into the details, and I have to warn you, they are really disturbing. Mitsuko had been strangled, and her hands were tied. Her stomach had been crudely cut open with a knife, and the fetus, it was found lying on the floor right beside her. On top of all that, her wallet was missing.
The brutality is shocking, but that's not the full story. See, the killer didn't just take things from the scene, they also left something behind. And what they left is what transforms this from a brutal murder into a truly bizarre and haunting mystery.
And this is what makes this case so unbelievably weird. Inside Mitsuko's womb, right where her baby had been, the killer had placed two objects, a telephone and a small keychain with a Mickey Mouse doll on it. I mean, there is no logical explanation for this. It feels ritualistic, symbolic, something just deeply disturbed.
So out of this absolute horror, you get this conflicting and powerful legacy. It's a story of incredible survival on one hand and a story of a complete failure of the justice system on the other. It's almost unbelievable, but the baby boy, he survived. Against all odds, he made it. He was eventually able to escape the media storm in Japan, moving to Hawaii to live a quiet life. But while he found some kind of peace, the killer found freedom. Back in 2003, Japan's statute of limitations for murder, which was 15 years at the time, it expired. That means once that clock ran out, the killer could never be prosecuted, ever, even if they were found tomorrow. And, public outcry over cases just like this one is a big reason that law has since been abolished for such terrible crimes.
Now, this was not a case the police just ignored. The scale of this investigation was immense. Over the years, a staggering 40,000 police officers were involved in trying to crack this case. And yet, despite that massive manhunt, all those officers, all that time, they got nothing. Not a single suspect was ever officially named, no clear motive was ever figured out. All that effort just led to a complete and total dead end.
So, where does that leave us? With the official investigation long since closed, all we really have are theories. Just these lingering questions that try to make some kind of sense out of a completely senseless act.
Okay, so the first and most obvious theory. It was a robbery. Her wallet was taken, after all. But you have to ask yourself, does a simple theft explain the ritualistic placement of a phone and a Mickey Mouse doll, the brutal mutilation? For pretty much everyone who's looked at this case, the answer is a hard no. This one leads to a much more chilling possibility. What if it was just random? A psychopathic killer who chose Mitsuko for no reason at all, just acting on some unknowable dark impulse. It's a terrifying thought because it means anyone could have been the victim that night.
Or maybe the complete opposite is true. What if this was deeply personal? Did the killer actually know Mitsuko Moriya? Could the extreme violence and the bizarre staging of the body, could that have been some kind of twisted message? An act of revenge or obsession from someone in her life?
And there's one final, really frustrating possibility to consider. It's entirely plausible that a person capable of something like this wouldn't just stop here. The killer might have been arrested for another crime years later. But think about it. Back in the 80s, without advanced DNA testing and big forensic databases, the police simply wouldn't have had the technology to link them back to the Nagoya murder scene. And so this is where we're left. A survivor who had to build a life in the shadow of this unspeakable tragedy, and a killer who, by law, can never be punished for it. It really forces you to ask a tough question. When the law itself provides a way for a murderer to walk free, what does justice truly mean?